There we go. So now we should have audio. So sorry about that. That was me just talking to myself then. So let's see. So you should hear me now. Usually I check that stuff and I didn't do it this time. That was yeah. There we go. Okay, so now that everybody can hear me and I'm actually live and whatever, welcome in. Today is an AMA, Ask Me Anything, Shakuhachi player and composer. So anything on, we can talk anything about bamboo flutes and shakuhachi. We can talk anything about classical music. We can talk anything about Japanese music, composition, all that kind of stuff. I guess you have a classical clarinet background. I do not have a classical clarinet background, though I've composed music for the clarinet multiple times. So, anyways, I wanted to start off with one question that I was getting before on like some back channel questions on the Discord and some stuff like that. The main question that I was getting is, what is up with the new flute? So people are seeing that now I don't have the dark flute with the ivory in the bottom and all that kind of stuff, and I've been using this one. So what on earth is this flute, you may ask? So this is a Miura Kindo that was made in the 1920s. It has the older Hanko, the pre-Tokyo Fire Hanko on it. And I bought it on a whim. Actually, it was a part of an auction deal. And I just fell in love with it. It had just so much warmth and depth and really that bamboo-y color. It's not the easiest flute to play. I'll definitely admit that. It takes a lot of work to get what I want out of it. But performing this flute and playing this flute has just been a joy for the past, I suppose it's been like 3 months now, because I picked it up in August. But I've been loving it ever since, and it's a fantastic instrument. And so I made the switch to it. I started using it all the time. I use it for my concerts, my recordings, and everything. It's become my main flute. It's actually so good that I stopped using both of my other 1.8s. So I have the other one that's sitting back there, but I haven't touched it in a long time just because this thing does everything that I want and more. So that's what's up with this flute. And I'm fallen completely in love with it, head over heels. So, like I said, today is an AMA. We can go over anything that you have questions. So, ask me anything. So, the places I would like to focus are shakuhachi and composition, but all things Japan and Japanese music, as well as classical music and composers, are all up for all free questions. You're free to ask those questions. Now, the next question that just came in here was, who is the maker of the new shakuhachi? So the maker of my new shakuhachi is the legendary Miura Kindo. So Miura Kindo was a Kinko-ryu player. He was a student of Araki Koto II, and he really built a name for himself as being the greatest, one of the greatest shakuhachi makers of all time. And I agree. I think that there was a lot of flutes of his too that, I mean, whether they're in original condition or not is it's very debatable. I think that the one I have is in the original condition. I think that there has been adjustments made to the finger holes where there's undercuttings, but other than that, I think everything is in the original condition. His teacher, Araki Koto II, though, is one of my favorite makers, along with Gyokusui the First. I've played a lot of really great Gyokusui 1 flutes. And just to follow up with that question, we have, what year do you think it was made? And I think that the year is probably 1920 to 1925, something in that time period. Another thing too that's not original is definitely the middle joint here, but the middle joint changing is not a big issue. That's not what's so important about the instrument, because this doesn't really change the sound of the instrument. This is just a normal repair that has to happen. Okay, next question from Alex Carter, 8807. Does the smoothness of a shakuhachi bore matter? Yes and no. Depends on what you want. If you're wanting something that's a way more balanced tone and something that's a lot more consistent, then yeah, that sort of smooth bore is going to be really important for you. But for other people, not, like if they're doing like jinashi, you're going to want a rough bore, right? That's just kind of, you want the natural shape of the bamboo. You're only really messing with the nodes in like the making in the Edo style. So just depends. But what I've noticed is, and this is so hard to say because there's so many variables that are involved with this. The glassy and glossy finish of the inside of the bore tends to give me a more instantaneous and louder sound. But it doesn't necessarily mean that just because it has that, it's going to be that, because there's other factors that are involved there. But it's a good question. So here it is. So this one also, by the way, going back to this flute, it is a Kinko mouthpiece here. Very deep cut, 4.5 millimeters it seems. Okay, a shadowy one. If you are going to take a violin piece and want to adapt it over to the shakuhachi, where would you start? It depends on the piece. It really depends on what the composition is and what the range is. In some cases, it might be fine to keep it just as it is, and you can just play it straight. In other cases, you're going to have to do some octave displacement. Other cases, you can actually shift the key up, so you would play everything that fits in the range of the shakuhachi. In other cases, too, you can actually make it so you're playing more than one shakuhachi. So you can play like a 2.4 in one case, and then if you have enough space in between, then you can switch over to the 1.8 for the higher sections and stuff like that. So it really just depends. But what I would first look at is look at the range of the piece and see what are the lowest notes and what are the highest notes, what are possible on different types of flutes, and then how can you make it so you're not disrupting the contour of the melody or what the original, like the composer had when he was writing the original piece. I actually have a couple pieces like that I'm looking at right now that I'm wanting to arrange over to shakuhachi. So that's what I'm doing to start with. Alex Carter 8807 asks, what do you think of the Shakuhachi U? So I think that the Shakuhachi U is fine to get started on. I don't think that it has a very like convincing tone and sound, but that's not its purpose. Its purpose is not to be the replacement of a professional instrument. The purpose of it is not to be a concert instrument. It's a tool to get someone started to see if they like shakuhachi or not. And I think you can go, decently far enough with it. But it does lack tone. I think it's quite a difficult instrument to play too. I don't think it's user-friendly for a beginner. But it's the best mainstream thing that's out there for the price. I don't think it's worth to get the upgraded stuff. I think that's just a selling point. I don't think there's anything that's would make it viable for being a professional model that you could use as a performer. The ones that we're making right now are meant to be something that you could use on stage, because we're looking for something that has a little bit more power behind it, has more tone color, and stuff like that. So, but that's my general thought of the Shakuhachi U. I think I have a review video of it somewhere. Might be old, but the nice thing about it is that it's consistent. So that if your teacher has one and you guys can use the exact same instrument. So if you're having a problem, the teacher can tell you, oh, on the U you have to do this, and they can show you and you can kind of get similar sounds and stuff like that. So that's a nice aspect about it. But yeah, it really is just for the beginners. Definitely just for the beginners. But great question. And it's one that comes up often too, to talk about the U's or the other kind of resin model flutes and stuff like that. I'll kind of use this to plug ours really quickly. So ours is a little bit more expensive because, again, we're using resin. I'll also talk about this one too. So we have two models now, and they're made by different makers. So this is the one from Nick, right? So Nick Belando up at Hono and Shakuhachi. So this is our Jinashi model, right, or the Edo style model, which has the internal bore profile having like the nodes of the bamboo. It was 3D scanned from an actual piece of bamboo that was turned into a shakuhachi, and so that's this one, right? The Jinashi shakuhachi, and then which we actually have a new model of coming out. It is already out, and it sounds really good. The lower part of the bore is thicker, but then we have this one, which is the Giadi model, and this one is would be something that you could use to play, like for example, with piano or with a string quartet or something like that, or even just play any of like the contemporary music. It has a very large sound. It's extraordinarily easy to play. And so this will be up for sale too for 1,100 on the website, coming pretty soon. I'm actually meeting with the maker today in just a couple hours, so we'll talk a little bit more and finalize the details on what's happening with this one. But that's that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to come up with this replacement of a non-bamboo instrument or non-bamboo shakuhachi that levels or that can compete with the bamboo, both in price and in playability. And it's very difficult. But resin is by far the best. And we've tried, like with other makers, I've tried like carbon fiber, different types of plastic. I think we did like Teflon for one of the other ones, and we did something else. We did another material. And by far, the resin is like just really good. Just the amount of density that resin is, it's really good. So the maker of the Giadi is Robin Spehar, and he's a student of mine studying shakuhachi, and he has his own little hanko on the back here too, which is really really cool. He's a great maker. He has a background of doing sculpting and stuff like that, so like making shakuhachi just fits perfectly for him, and he's done all the studies and stuff like that. Worked with Yozan a little bit, taking some lessons over here in Japan. So yeah, he makes really great flutes. It's actually like impressive how, I mean, like you heard the flute, how easy it is to play. This thing can do it all. And I think I had the video come out maybe like a month, not even a month ago, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, where I talked about how to test a flute. And we talked about going through like that. Like it's really easy to get those very big and powerful sounds, as well as all of the alternate fingerings that are required to play. High octave tough too, like going into third octave. It's like really easy to get up there. I barely even have to try. It's way easier to play than my actual main flute. Does it lack color of like the really high end bamboo flutes? Sure, but you're not paying $10,000 for this. Like those kind of old, old style flutes. They're gonna cost you an arm and a leg. Next question here, also by Alex Carter 8807, is does the Voldine make a difference? I think so. I've noticed for myself personally that just that practice of inhalation, right? Deep inhalation and like slowly expanding the lungs, it's made a huge change in my playing. It has extended my row. It's made it louder. It's made it deeper, more resonant. Yeah, for me, it definitely makes a huge difference. That's why I recommend it to everybody. I think it's worth the time to do it. Just 2 or 3 of those every single day, over a long period of time will make a massive difference in how you breathe more deeply. So if you're not doing it, I would do it. All right, let's do this. I'll do that too. A little questionnaire here. What is your favorite shakuhachi piece? So we'll have to get some answers from you as well on what is your favorite shakuhachi piece, as we're getting some more questions in for the live stream. We have a really cool event coming up, which is, I say we as the studio. On Saturday, I will be doing this little performance in Katsuragi-shi, which is just down the way, and I get to play Matsubara samba. I don't know if you guys know that Matsubara samba, but it's such a cute little piece when you play it on shakuhachi, and it's really famous. It's old, but my wife knows of it, and yeah, it's gonna be fun to play. And then another one I'm doing is, I think it's from some anime. It's what the kids requested. So this is all for like elementary school and middle school kids. They have like a kids day thing, and so I'm playing a lot of tunes that they like. So we're also doing something from Kiki's Delivery Service as well, and I've got all the backing tracks and stuff like that. So those are one of my favorite types of events to do, both in America and in Japan. When I was in America last time, I went to a high school and performed a bunch of shakuhachi stuff and talked to the music students. And actually, the director of that orchestra was my high school orchestra director teacher. So that was a really nice, full circle. I wrote a little article about that on my website as well. I'll probably pull that up and post that here. So it's always nice to do those types of events and get younger people to be interested in the shakuhachi. And sometimes it works. Sometimes people they're really receptive to it, and they they pick it up and they start none of them really take lessons and stuff like that, but there is a lot of people who are just playing it off and on. So here we go. Here it's called a full circle moment. This is the article about the my high school little trip there. And so there you go. So that's what's coming up on this week. Then the next really big event is I'm working with the Bloomington Symphony Orchestra, and we're doing Toshio Hosokawa's piece, which is called Autumn Wind. Let me pull up that article too. BSO brings in the bamboo. So this is in collaboration with Ryo Hasegawa, who's actually a longtime friend of mine. He's the conductor there. So the program is called Between Silence and Strauss. But this is going to be fun. A little short one-page article there, just to talk about it. Going back and doing some big concerto work is going to be a different change of pace, as I've been mostly doing solo and shakuhachi and koto stuff, or even shakuhachi and piano. So it's always been like very, very small chamber music stuff. So it'll be interesting to go back into the big orchestral world for a brief moment to see how that turns out. I'm sure we'll have video of it and all that good stuff. It'll be fun. Okay, so those are little updates there. Questions about, of course this is a shakuhachi channel, but I wonder if you guys ever have questions about composition and as well, or even composing for shakuhachi. How did I discover the shakuhachi? I actually knew about the shakuhachi not by name but by sound since I was a kid, like really, really young, like probably 4 or 5. I heard that sound all the time. I watched anime, I watched the old samurai films, and even in our own, daily life of watching our regular, like, beloved movies, the shakuhachis featured a lot in those too. So I knew the sound, but I connected the sound with a picture and a name in my first year of college, and that's where I decided to pick it up, and I wanted to play that. So that's how that kind of transpired. saw it in a YouTube video when we were going into we're talking about Japanese music, and I just knew that that's what I wanted to play that instrument. And at that time, I was still playing violin and viola, but I quickly, stopped doing that because it wasn't like I had to play that anymore. I had a back injury anyway, so it was probably for the best that I stopped playing. But it was the best call for me. And I really didn't have. I mean, I wasn't like a bad violin player, but I worked as a professional violinist. I played in orchestras. I taught violin. I performed in opera companies. I mean, I did the circuit, but it wasn't where I was like. It wasn't my voice, right? Where did you grow up that you were hearing the shakuhachi so much? So I was born in Missouri. I moved to Iowa, and then I stayed in Wisconsin afterwards for pretty much all of middle school and high school. And then I was in Cleveland, Ohio for college. And it wasn't necessarily the location that was the point of the shakuhachi. It's just that the things that I was particularly interested in, anime and the old samurai films. I loved Kurosawa stuff, and those tracks have that instrument, right? They have the shakuhachi in there to create the ambiance of Edo Japan. And so I was really drawn to that, right? That sound more than anything. And the specific sound that I really liked about the shakuhachi, where it was in the film, it's such a cliche sound, but it's that right with a heavy reverb. That's the sound that I really fell in love with the shakuhachi. And it makes it even better that a lot of those really cool effects are all packed into the shakuhachi anyways, just into the regular music and whatever. So someone has told me that my music sounds like a 2001 Space Odyssey. I don't know if that's a compliment or not. That's amazing. So Alex Carter continues. That's amazing. I grew up in Hawaii and I didn't get that kind of exposure to it. Yeah, the thing is that just because you're in a highly Japanese community, or let's say even living in Japan, doesn't mean that you're going to get any exposure to it whatsoever. The amount of people that have actually heard the shakuhachi in person is very low in Japan. Every time I go to an event where I'm, for the first time going to a school, I ask them, how many of you have heard shakuhachi in person? And I ask this for adults too. And it's less than 5%. And with the kids, it's even less than that. Sometimes it's one kid might raise his hand and it's yeah, my grandfather played. That's usually the response. And if anybody does say that they've heard shakuhachi before, it's usually because my dad played or my grandfather played or something like that. That's usually the response that it is. And so, yeah. I think that you actually can sometimes even have a much more likelihood of hearing shakuhachi outside of Japan than inside Japan. Okay. Are there any pieces, this is by a shadowy one, are there any pieces that combine shinobue with shakuhachi? Not that I know of, in terms of classical repertoire, that's something like Edo era or even Meiji. I don't know of any pieces that do that. Contemporary pieces, you'll be able to find them no problem. I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff that's out there. Especially if you look at minyo music, any of the folk songs, a lot of them are going to have shinobue and shakuhachi involved with them, and they don't always play the same lines too. Typically, the shakuhachi is doubling the voice, and shinobue can have some extra filling lines that are in there that are unrelated to the melodic part, or they're acting as counter melody to the vocal part. So there you go, shinobue with shakuhachi. You'd actually be much better off just, let's see, shinobue and shakuhachi. I think we can probably just do a quick pieces for shinobue and shakuhachi. Let's see if anybody has something that comes up. Yeah. I love the AI answer for this. Popular shakuhachi pieces, Echigo Sanya. That is not a popular shakuhachi piece. Not at all. But Haru no Umi is. Yeah, it doesn't like just AI is not finding anything online as it's grabbing stuff. So you probably have to look a little bit deeper, but pieces that were specifically composed for Shinobu and Shakuhachi, I'm not aware of any. Yeah, and I never trust the AI. It's just kind of like if it's a really common thing, it will probably appear. But in general, yeah, AI is awful. It's like it's my wife was asking it the other day. She was asking, why is the government shut down? And it was saying, well, because of Biden's policies and how he's currently enacting in the government. And she goes, but Biden isn't president. And it started to fight her on it. It's like, yes, he is. He is the president of the United States. It's like, no, he was the president. He isn't anymore. And then it was like, oh, yeah, you're right. And then it would go on a little bit further, and then it would say Biden again. So, yeah, AI is all over the place. One of my favorite things to ask it was how many R's are in strawberry, and it used to say 1 or 2. But they fixed that bug now. They don't do that one anymore. What AI is really good for, like what these because it's not actually even AI. They're language learning bots, right? So it's really good for grammar for the most part. And if you're learning language stuff, if you wanted to explain like a linguistic concept to you or whatever, like how something works in, the Japanese language, for example, it can give you example sentences. It can help you, whatever. So that's a great way to use like AI. Like, I'm learning this new word. Can you give me 5 sentences using this word, like how a native would use it? And then it can generate some example sentences for you. Great usage of AI. I have this big life decision to make, and I'm not sure what to do. AI, can you help me? Terrible idea. Absolutely terrible idea. I'm writing a paper for my class. Can you write this paper for me? Terrible idea. So, yeah, I wouldn't trust that at all. But then it's coming a big issue. Even in like scientific journals. Like, I'm reading that like there are people who are getting caught in scientific journals writing their articles with AI. Like, that's insane to me. That's insane. But now the thing that everybody says is that, if they want to make a diss to you, right, or if they want to, say something mean, they say, well, you wrote this with AI. Stop using ChatGPT. It's like, yeah. Do you have any publications done in Japan? So when you mean publications, like, are you talking like books, or like or articles, or just things that I've written, or what do you mean by that? Because technically, my children's book is published in Japan, technically speaking, and but it's in English. Articles, no, I don't have any articles in Japanese that have been published in Japan. I'm not in that sphere, and I've worked with those people, like Makihara-san, or Makihari-sensei. I've worked a lot with him, and I've talked a lot with him, and he's been to my house, and he's come to my concerts and stuff. He's a great scholar, has a lot of things written, but I haven't written anything because honestly, the stuff in Japan, everything's already been written. Like, that's like that the stuff that I'm particularly interested in. It's already been published in like major books. I can give a book recommendation, actually. If you speak Japanese, there is a book on the Japanese history of the Shakuhachi. And I think it is Yamaguchi's book. Shakuhachi, what is the title of that book? Now I gotta look this up because I forgot the title of the book. One moment, please. Let's see here. Yeah, so there's this one book by Yamamoto-san that's really good, and I would recommend anybody to read it, because he really gives a really thorough overview of both the komuso and the shakuhachi. So okay, it's in here. Okay, I think I found it. Okay, so the title of the book is Shakuhachi Shigaisetsu. Shakuhachi Shigaisetsu. And that's the Rekishi. I'm probably saying it wrong anyways. Rekishi no shi, and then Gaisetsu. Yeah, that's the name of the book. If you copy that and post and paste that into the good old Amazon, it will pop up. And then that is by the author Yamaguchi Seiki. There you go, Seiki. So, has never been translated into English. These are the type of projects though that I'm looking into do is to have this book, maybe Ueno's book, and another book translated into English for people to read. Yamaguchi-san actually does a lot of really good research for the shakuhachi. This is a great book. So I read somewhere that, this is Alex Carter asking again, I read somewhere that the shakuhachi was on the radio, etc., a lot during the militaristic period leading up to World War II. Could the shakuhachi been associated with post-war as old-fashioned and too nationalistic, and hence it fell in popularity? So the shakuhachi was used. There was this little red book. It was not Mao's red book, but there was a red book that had you could learn how to play shakuhachi by learning to play gunka, which is military tunes. But I don't think that's I don't think that's the reasoning for it. Really, I think it had to do is just that if there became more of a view towards the West, right, and appropriating Western ideas and Western things, because there was a huge movement throughout the 1930s up into the 50s, like developing suizen, developing that practice, and a lot of people did it. I mean, the Tozans, for example. I mean, Tozan had so many people playing the shakuhachi even after the wartime. So I don't think that it's because of that small, attempt to get people to play military tunes on the shakuhachi that would be the downfall of it. I think it's just, people's individual interest. And Japan tends to be like an import country. They really like the importation of things, like both, not just, because they have that because they're an island nation, but just because that's how they always have been. So when I talk to people, like, why don't they want to play like a Japanese instrument or something like that, it's more because it's like, oh, that's what my grandpa did, right? So it's a grandpa instrument. It's not a young, hip instrument for someone like me. That seems to be the answer that I get the most, rather than, oh, that's a nationalistic instrument. I've never heard anybody say that, and that was the reason why they didn't want to play it. Of anything, the nationalistic aspect of it would be something that someone in the 1950s would have really liked to have in their life as a shakuhachi player, or just as a Japanese person. So I don't think that would be it. But again, I'm just speaking without really, really deeply thinking about it. I'm just kind of letting things flow. I'd have to really research what's the actual reason for it. But yeah, shakuhachi comes in real big waves of popularity in history. Like that's why you can even find people cosplaying komuso in the Edo era with their shakuhachis and stuff. But the question becomes like, are they actually even playing shakuhachi, or they just have the shakuhachi because it's a part of the outfit that they're cosplaying? Then, of course, the Meiji era, you have a lot of composers writing for the shakuhachi, and also Taisho as well. Hisamoto Genchi, Michio Miyagi. And Michio Miyagi wrote more than Haru no Umi, by the way, people. He wrote a really great piece called Uguisu. Definitely should check that piece out. Uguisu. And it's spelt like this, by the way. This is a really important distinction to make. Is that they didn't always use the same spellings for Japanese. So he spelled it like this. Uguisu. Which is the nightingale. The Japanese bush warbler. And yeah, so there was other composers at that time, and then of course it goes down, and then you see a surgence of it, like let's say 60, 70, 80, and then it kind of dies down again. And I think like with the video games and stuff, I think we're going to see another surgence of it. I hope so, at least. But again, I'm just speaking freely, not really thinking about it that much. So there's a book recommendation there. Shakuhachi Shigai Setsu by Yamaguchi Seigi. And there's a piece recommendation, Uguisu by Michio Miyagi. And I'll put his Japanese name there too. No. Michio Miyagi. So definitely check that out. Those guys, those two resources are really great. And Uguisu is a really nice piece. It's a shame that it's not performed as much. And the same thing too with like Hisamoto Genshi's music. He wrote a lot of really good pieces. One of the pieces I like by him is called Yoru no Uta. So Hisamoto Genshi. Gen wa don't know Gen. I think it's that Gen. I think it's Chishiki. No, Chi. Yeah, that's the one. I think that's the... I might be wrong on the... or is it... now I gotta look it up. Hisamoto Genshi. I got both of the characters wrong. Look at that. That's his name. So yeah, but Yoru no Uta is one of my favorites from him. But he has a lot. He has Tsukiyo, which is a good piece. The Evening Moon. Let's see another one. Harukyo or Shukyo is a cool piece. Aki no Midare is a cool piece too. As well. So, and he has I think he even has like a sort of like a pocket concerto. It's for a bunch of kotos and then shakuhachi solo. That's a really cool piece also. I can't remember the name. It's like something like concert solo for shakuhachi and so many kotos or whatever. Or Japanese ensemble. So there's maybe there's shamisen in there too. But yeah, I think you can see the waves of this, which I think this might be a key factor of it. When you have a lot of people writing music for the shakuhachi, you need shakuhachi players. So during those time periods, you have a lot of new compositions coming out for people, right, to play. And therefore, there's something interesting about the shakuhachi that's not just the old part of it, but there's also something new. So what I would like to see is more people writing music for the shakuhachi. Example of 1970, 1980. You have Miyata Kohachiro just feverishly at the composer's table writing piece after piece after piece. You have the Nipponia ensemble and the organization that's attached with, Katsutoshi Nagasawa, who's also writing fantastic music for shakuhachi. You have the the Tozans writing. You have Yamamoto Hozan composing. You even have Yokoyama Katsuya writing pieces too. So people are writing music, and you can see that there's a lot of people playing it. So we need the composers to step up and write more music, but we also need the shakuhachi players to step up and commission them. So I think I've done my part, and I continue to do it. I continue to commission composers and get new music written for shakuhachi. But it's a multi-front battle, and I think that one of the biggest elements that we need is we need really great music, really great new music for shakuhachi to be composed and then widely performed by the current body of shakuhachi players, which means you have to engage with new music, and not everybody likes new music, and I get it, right? I don't like a lot of new music too. I don't want to listen to modern pop music for the most part. I want to listen to contemporary classical. That's what I like the most. But just because that's what I like doesn't mean what everybody else likes. So it's important to have diversity in there too. So there should be pop music, there should be hard rock, there should be jazz, there should be whatever. Because any genre that the shakuhachi can be a part of that's convincing, it's great with me. I think that more of that should happen. So there's that little ramble. I don't even think that was really a question. I think I just started rambling about stuff. Okay. All right, let's see where we are at in terms of timing here. We are now at 45 minutes, 43 minutes and whatever seconds. But very good stuff so far. So let's go into some more questions about kind of focusing on shakuhachi. And if we don't, what we'll do is we'll have AI generate some questions for us that are random, because that's always fun. So ask me random questions about shakuhachi. Okay, so I need to ask you about this then, a shadowy one. So he's asking, where would you get the old obscure pieces? What do you mean by old, and what do you mean by obscure? Right. So what years are we talking about, and so on. Oh, here we go. Now the questions are coming in. Okay, so let's go with Alex Carter's question first while we wait for a shadowy one to get his question more detailed, and then we'll do Magus Java afterwards. So Alex Carter asked, what do you think of PVC shakuhachi? Now, sometimes people make them and they're actually like surprisingly good. Like they make a really good sound out of them. But of course, they're going to lack depth, tone color, and all that kind of stuff. It's like the same level as the U, but the thing is that with the PV stuff is it's not consistent. And though the thickness of the PVC, the quality of it, the how well the utiguchi is cut, the whole positioning, it's going to be a lot more, sensitive in those areas. So great for the beginner, not much after that. Magus Java. Where does one find pieces to play? Thank you. So that's a really good question, because it actually is becoming harder and harder to find the resources where those things are available. So and it's also it's actually really difficult to order music from Japanese websites for like their sheet music and stuff. I have a extremely large collection of stuff, but that's because I ordered a ton of scores off of by auction. I think I got like 300 some odd scores that I then scanned in, so I have a digital library of everything. Meijido has some stuff, but they don't have a lot of things. If you're looking for like the Tozan scores, which is really what the Tozans did really great. The reason why the Tozan school was so successful is because they standardized their scores and they're beautiful and they have a ton of pieces. So you would want to find a Tozan teacher that could get you connected with that. Let me look this up really quickly. Let's see. Here we go. So you're going to go to Wagaki Ichiba, and you can purchase all of the scores here. Please sponsor me, Wagaki Ichiba. I'm sending you customers. They do have an English page too that you can go. So you can go to sheet music and stuff like that, and then just go into for example, Shakuhachi. So here's a here's Shakuhachi music that's composed by Katsuhiko Yoshizaki, and he's a great composer, by the way. So you should buy all of these. This one is, which piece is this? I don't even. It's like, oh, I see. So he has fourth duet on the theme of Kagome. That's a Shakuhachi score. Drops of Lights. Another piece called Drama. Another piece called Wufu. Renmen, that's a great piece. I played that one. And of course, Beauty Under the Moon as well. That's all in this little set here. So another place too. Let's see. Let's look at another one. Oh, Toshihiko, similar name. You have Katsuhiko and Toshihiko Mizuno. I've played a couple of his pieces. His are more pop styled. But he has a bunch of pieces here that you can actually play. Like I'm looking at this collection here, and there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, probably like there's like 40 pieces in this right here, and they're only asking 660 yen, or maybe that might be just song price for one book. Okay, so it's like about $5 per song, and there's like 100 here, and there's like 3 collections of it. So there's that. And then let's see here. Yeah, there's a bunch of scores here. There's Sawai Tadao scores too. So if you're looking at like a piece like Kaze no Uta, you can get the score here for that. And then there's also classical scores here too. So there you go. Look at this page specifically, and I have it pulled up on the English side, so you can pull that up too. Okay. So hopefully that will help you with finding all those things. And they specifically have music just for shakuhachi players at the bottom here too. So if you want like the shakuhachi music for the Nagasawa works, you have Mayudama no Uta, Mutsuraboshi, Tree Crown, the Mie Illusion, and stuff like that. So there's some pretty cool works in here. And then let's see what this one has. Hoshun. Some of the translations are bad here. So like it says Moe Haru. It's actually Hoshun is the pieces there. 4 pieces is a set that's called Shikyoku. It's poetic pieces. So you can't always trust the translation that they're using, but you know, you'll find stuff there. All right, so for a shadowy one, he has given us. So his original question was, where would one get the old obscure pieces? Edo period and less played. When they make books, they keep putting the popular ones over and over, but what about the less popular pieces? And are they to die to time? It's also hard to even say like what's less popular. Like, of course, what's become more international is going to be the Kinko rep, which is the 36 pieces, and then the Dokyoku rep, right, which is in our like the Wadazumi school, Yokoyama. But you can still get like a lot of the other works too. Probably even on this same website. So let's go back to this website again and let's take a look, because they have they do have classical scores here too. And so if we do a filter here, we can probably even find a Honkyoku tab. So here's Shakuhachi. Okay, there's some introduction books here. I see Tozan Ryu, sheet music with commentary. That's cool. Oh, look at that. You get even some enka and love song collections. That's cool too. So there is this book here called Kinko-ryu Shakuhachi Textbook Gakuten. And this one looks like it's pretty detailed on like the matters of the Kinko-ryu school. So you can get all the scores there, but that still doesn't give you like the obscure ones. A lot of times for the obscure pieces, like if you're talking like it's a very specific temple piece that you're talking about, like you want all the stuff from like Ryu Genji or something like that, you'd have to go to like a particular teacher who has those scores, and then they would write it out for you, or they would give you a copy of their teacher's copy. So for example, I have a lot of the scores. I have all the scores of Myowan. I have all the scores of pretty much everything from Oshu, except for like two pieces. I have the Futaiken pieces. I have the Ichigo pieces. I have a lot of the works. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm only missing like a handful of Honkyoku pieces that from that era, but yeah, basically the way to get it would be that you get it from your teacher. You'd have to ask about a specific piece, but also realize that those specific pieces might have different names, and there's also different versions too. So for example, Tamuke, there is the Dokyoku version, and then there's the actual version of Tamuke. And the actual version of Tamuke is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 6 lines long. And all of like the fast frilly stuff is not there. That doesn't exist in the in there. Like the fastest line that you would get in that Tamuke would be like, that's what they have in that. Right, that's the classical Tamuke style. Right, it's very different than the one that I teach in my school, for example. I don't teach this version. Yeah, the sound of this shakuhachi is just something insane, right? Very deep, but clean, like you're saying. Like every note just hits. Yeah, so. Okay, what is my favorite non-mainstream song? Can you give me a little bit more? Like, because so like we're gonna say Honkyoku, we're gonna say pop, or we're gonna say Edo, or whatever, that kind of thing. I'll tell you this. One of the first thing that pops to mind is I really like the piece Kin Kirakin. Kin Kirakin. This is a folk song from the Edo era. I love that one. That's one of my favorite pieces. So it goes. That's one of my favorite folk songs. As Honkyoku goes, right, the Honkyoku one changes, right? Because it's like it depends on what's happening in my life, and I change and whatever I'm feeling and whatnot. But it's been recently Ryobo. Ryobo is like one of my all-time favorites right now, and so I'm really into that one. Ryobo. And then maybe pop songs. I really don't like pop music that much. Yeah, nothing comes to mind that would be like pop-wise. There's a jazz standard that I like, which is Embraceable You, which is a George and Ira Gershwin piece. I like that one a lot, and I can play that on. I play that on Shakuhachi. Let's play Embraceable You on Shakuhachi. I want to make sure that this comes through as well, since we're talking about my favorite ones. Now I feel like playing it. And I'm going to use the 2.0. Also a Murakindo, by the way. So here's Embraceable You on the 2.0 Shakuhachi. How's that audio coming through? There you go. A little bit of my favorite jazz ballad, Embraceable You, by George and Ira Gershwin. Okay, back to some questions. So Alex Carter says, what you say a mature tone comes largely from, the player learned to keep their throat open. Okay, so where does, let me rephrase the question. Where would I say that most of the technique for developing a mature tone comes from? And I think that the biggest part of it is knowing the position and the feeling of the abdomen. That the upper part of the abdomen is in and convex, concave, and the lower part of the abdomen is convex. So you push out, right? So lower is pushed out, upper is pushed in. And having that set up is the basis for having a really strong tone. And if that's there, then as you open up and you change and you do different, like, tonal shapes and all stuff like that, that's when you get some really, really nice tone colors and sounds on the shakuhachi. Would you be willing to send the score of Ghost of Ch, the sun's warm embrace? I'll do you one even better. You can purchase the score from my website. So we have the score available for people to, and actually not even just that one, you can have all 4 of them. Let me pull that up really quickly. Lots of scores here. Oh yeah, and there's scores on my website too. So. And Magasiava also says, goodness, that playing is so nice. Well, thank you very much. I work very, very hard, many hours a day. Smooth sound, thank you, nice colors. Yeah, I'm still working on that particular flute, that 2.0. I haven't really learned how to play it yet, but it has such a warm body to it, very deep sound. I do wish it had a little bit more punch, but I'm happy with what I have, right? It's a great instrument. I'm not complaining at all. Really great questions today, guys. Really great questions. Okay, and I think we can still do some more. I still have a little bit of time before I have to go do other things. So if you have any more questions, now is definitely the time to ask. We're past an hour now, but that's okay. I'm still open to take some questions, and I'm always happy to take a super chat. I love a super chat. Let me pull up this too while we're here. I can do one more tune later for you guys if you want. Maybe before I'll go, I'll play the piece that I'm gonna play at the for the kids. It's another kind of like, it's a jazzified version of a piece from Kiki's Delivery Service. So I'll play that as I do a sign off here. Okay. Very cool. All right, so let's see. Any other questions for shakuhachi stuff, or even composing, or where to get music? I think the sheet music one is the most important one. And going to that website, the Wagaki Ichiba, they're not going to have everything, but they're going to have a lot of stuff. And especially for the pieces from the 1900s, spanning from like 1920 to 1980, they're going to have a large bulk of it. All right, well, let me play one more tune for you. So we're going to do A Town with an Ocean View. Linus is busy. Linus has a lot of work to do right now. He's swamped with his company. So he's going to be out of commission for a little bit. So this is A Town with an Ocean View, and this is from Kiki's Delivery Service. And I think I've actually played this before when I was exampling some flutes. So it's very jazzified. It's kind of almost like a bossa nova kind of jazz here. Forgot the key for a second there. improvisation to go along with it. So I hope you enjoyed today's live stream. I hope to do more of them in the future. So it's a fun piece. I think the kids are really going to love it. And have a wonderful evening for where you guys are at. Wonderful day for other parts of people in the world. Or other people in other parts of the world, as I should say. And I will see you guys on a future live stream. So until then, row for 10.